All right, well, thanks to our super chatters there, and appreciate you folks as always. Here is Missouri as we get towards the end of this exercise. I can't wait, for one. It's been a nice little journey, but I'll be glad when we arrive because that means we're pretty much in lock with the season and talking about the actual games taking place. But in the meantime, we continue to just glance at schedules, and now here we are up to Mizzou, who's coming off a pretty good year, 10-3. A year ago, bowl win in their final game against Iowa in the Music City Bowl, and definitely, losing some talent, the likes of a Luther Burden, a Brady Cook. But what do the Missouri Tigers have in store for 2025 when it comes to their schedule? Well, for starters, they will open play up on August the 30th, as you see there. I mean, if we're in the running for like most basic ass graphic of all the schedules that have been released, I mean, we've done like 70 of them, and this is probably the most basic graphic. I can't imagine there's been too many others that are more basic than this, which
some
is
of them
fine.
have been dark where you couldn't read it well, but this one here,
it's almost just a Word document.
This could be like from an academy or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some sort of meaning in the whatever logos, like in that background or whatever that style is. But it's not the jazziest that we've seen, but that's fine. Starting off, Central Arkansas actually has this listed as August 28th on ESPN, which is a Thursday game. So perhaps that's been moved because it says August 30th here, but ESPN has them as playing on Thursday against Central Arkansas. So we can double check on that one.
I have that Thursday is here.
On so site. I think that's been shifted since they put out this graphic is probably what happened. So they will open things up on a Thursday, August the 28th against Central Arkansas. Then that'll be the only non-Saturday game they play the rest of the way. The following week, with a couple extra days to prepare, obviously, coming off of a Thursday game. Interesting non-con and definitely some history here as they will take on the Kansas Jayhawks. They're in week number 2, and that game in Columbia already announced as an ESPN2 2:30 kickoff. September 13th, continuing their non-con, they have Louisiana at home. That has been announced as an SEC network game, and that's all that's been announced as far as their first 3 games go TV-wise and all of that. A couple of other 11 a.m. kicks that we'll get to, but there is your first part of your non-conference. And yeah, so far, I think you're definitely looking at that Kansas game as one that has some potential to be fun. But after Louisiana, start to get into SEC play, and I was looking for their SEC special, as I have now coined it, which is the late season non-conference game that gets you bowl eligible or gives you that like little buffer between your SEC games. They actually don't have that. It's just not the 4 consecutive. So they will open SEC play on September the 20th at home against South Carolina. And then they have their final non-conference game there in week 5, Saturday, September the 27th against UMass. And so there we'll leave it as then they will get into their first bye week, the first week of October, but home against Central Arkansas on a Thursday, home against Kansas, home against Louisiana, home against South Carolina, home against UMass. Have you guys noticed anything that's happening so far? Yeah, 0 road games in their first 5 contests for Missouri. So when you hear about the toughness of schedule and things, there are ways where there's like some finagling, I feel like sometimes. And so like this is a part of the schedule where they definitely are going to need to take advantage of having all those home games. But yeah, they don't leave home for like the first 5 weeks of the season. So that's where we'll leave it.
If they're any worse than 4-2.
It's
a disaster.
Now,
I'm so happy that the border war is back. If I were commissioner of college football, my first like executive order, which I know probably not worth the paper it's written on, but my first command is if you have named a rivalry, if you have named it, you will play that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You will play it.
You mean like Iowa State, Kansas State?
Yes, exactly.
Every year?
Exactly. If it has a name, you will play it.
I have another rule. If you've played over 100 times, don't make it less than 101 or 2 or 5.
You will play that.
They have met 160.
If it has a name, you will play it. They should play the border war every year. Absolutely.
120 times they've met.
Yes. So fired up about that. That South Carolina game should be interesting. If the quarterback situation works out for them, Missouri should be good, regardless of how easy the schedule looks at the outset. or favorable. I wouldn't say easy, but favorable. But they should be good anyway. But Craig, continue on, because after this first bye, there's another common theme.
Well, if you'll remember too, they also had an incredibly easy schedule a year ago when they went 10-3. And I'm not saying that personally, like it was said to be the easiest schedule in the SEC last year. And so now they've got to hit the road, right? Oh, wait, no. Off the bye week, Saturday, October the 11th, at home against Alabama. So their first 6 games are at home. They don't leave home until October the 18th. That's freaking insane, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
How does that happen?
The conference game against South Carolina being at home allows this, because you see teams now where their non-conference 3 or 4 games are going to be home games. We know that's happening more and more often. But yeah, this is something else.
Well, they're going to get sliced and diced in the second half. They're going to have like LSU and Bama and everybody lined up, right? Okay, well, they finally go on the road. October the 18th, their first home game. They'll probably be 4-2, 5-1, 6-0, somewhere along those lines. Finally, at Auburn will be their first road game. The following week, they're going to be, I don't know if they'll be able to do this. 2 road games in a row, as they will then travel to Nashville to take on Vanderbilt. Then they have their bye week. Mm-hmm. So they have 5 games at home, bye week, home game number 6, 2 road games, bye week is how their schedule sets up. Then finally the stretch run, November the 8th, A&M at home. Mississippi State at home. And then the final 2 games of the year, November 22nd at Oklahoma, and then November 29th at Arkansas. This is the easiest SEC schedule I feel like we've seen by far, given all of the number of home games. But yeah, 8 home games, all 4 of them from October 18th on. And in terms of the teams they don't play Florida, they don't play Georgia, they don't play Kentucky, they don't play LSU, they don't play Ole Miss, they don't play Tennessee, and they don't play Texas. They get to play Alabama, and Oklahoma might be really good, and South Carolina should be good, A&M. But man alive, if you could catch a break scheduling-wise, it feels like they caught a break scheduling-wise. And some would tell you they caught a break a year ago, so they're getting some of that same now that it's just flipped. But if they don't have 8, 9, 10 wins, then I think that would have to be a massive disappointment for Mizzou fans. Now, granted, you're replacing some talent, so maybe me talking about 10 wins is a little crazy because 10-2 is still 10-2. But I know about 100 teams in the country that would probably trade this schedule for the one that they've got.
I don't know about 100.
Can I just a little hyperbole?
I get it. But their 3 losses last year were all on the road.
Yep.
A&M, Alabama got smoked, and then South Carolina. And they play South Carolina near the end of the year. This year, they get them early at home. I guess if you could say, okay, here's the algorithm. Remember, we talk about algorithms, and sometimes it doesn't mean that there's somebody in that group that may not be a lot better. Maybe it's Oklahoma. Who knows? Maybe it's Auburn. I don't know.
I don't want to hear them at the end of the year talking about the toughness of the schedule, though. Yeah. And they won't have the ability to, unless Auburn's much better than anticipated, and there's a couple teams that are just way better than we think. But on paper, which is all this exercise is, and it's not Missouri's fault, really. No. It's just you look at it and you go, how in the world did they get that?
Schedule, what in the computer algorithm of shaking these things up allowed that to happen?
Well, it also helps when you play 4 home non-conference games, and none of them. Kansas is a good game, but the other 3 are the typical kind of affair. So.
Do you know the longest length they will travel this year?
No, I don't remember.
It would have to be. It would have to be Oklahoma.
No,
not Oklahoma. Excuse me.
It's Auburn.
Auburn, yeah.
732 miles.
Yeah.
To Nashville is 431 miles. To Norman is 466, and to Fayetteville is 315.
All right.
Also,
that's
2 of their other road trips equal the one to Auburn. And again, it's not like they have to drive that whole way. They'll be on charter flights, but they have maximum 2-hour charter flight.
Jeez.
That's it. Maybe. That's all they've got.
Well, it's a shame for them that they didn't make the playoffs last year with the schedule they had and all that talent. And then you lose some pretty talented players. And now you have a schedule that's the easiest in the SEC, according to a lot of outlets, and you are having to rebuild a little bit. I mean, you got to get Bo Pribula and guys like that. We'll see how much of a drop off there might be, but you just wish that you were like everything was ready to take full advantage of this. And I don't know that they'll be able to take full advantage of it the way that some other teams might be able to. But yeah, there's definitely a path if they don't have too much drop off that you should be in the mix for college football playoff spot.
You got help with the algorithm. You still have to play 3 or 4 teams that might be in the top 10. But when you play 8 non-conference or you play 8 conference games, then you can have 4 of those non-conference games at home, which they do. But that's all right. Eli Drinkwitz and company, what were they, 10-3 last year? And won the bowl game, as you mentioned, to end the year against a pretty good Iowa team. All right, Craig, thank you. Who's next? Oklahoma? Ole Miss. Ole Miss will be next. We'll look at their schedule tomorrow. All right.
Hold on. Let me see. What was Missouri's over, under, and wins real quick? I should have looked at that to see where they are, because 10-2 is still
I'm
going to say
8.5.
Missouri over, under, wins.
If this was me doing this,
7.5.
Oh.
7.5 wins. That's surprising to see that. But also, again, they lost a lot of talent, so maybe that's the line of thinking there. It's definitely not because of the schedule. So if Mizzou's better than expected, they can definitely take full advantage.